And I know my students are so visual. Just look at the social media that they use. It's things like Snapchat and Instagram, very visual things. I think an app or a web Chrome extension like Bubble Up would just be right up their alley.
Good morning and welcome to Virtual Coffee Break with Bubble Up. I'm your host, Wade Sellers, and today we're going to be talking about education in the COVID era, may it be right now. I've got an awesome educator with us. I've got Jessica Pilgreen with us. Good morning, Jessica.
Good morning. How are you
Good
doing
morning.
today?
I'm super good. Thank you so much for taking a moment out of your day to talk to us. Where are you calling in from and what are you drinking this morning?
Well, I'm calling in from Trenton, Illinois. It's southwestern Illinois, about 30-minute drive from St. Louis, Missouri, and I am drinking a local soda. I'm drinking a Ski.
A Ski. What does that
Yes,
taste like?
it's kind of like Mountain Dew, but 10 times better.
That's awesome. Very cool.
Sure. Well, I teach 9th and 12th grade English classes, and that includes reading, writing, literature, all of those sorts of things. I also have a community college class that I'm teaching. And right now, all of my classes are currently in person. Our statistics are low enough that we're actually able to meet face to face 5 days a week. So we meet from
That's
8 o'clock,
amazing.
from about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 1:20.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of schools are definitely doing the remote thing. I help with a coding program in high schools, and I believe all of the students are right now remote. So there's supposed to be something like kind of special that you're actually able to bring the kids into the classroom.
Yeah, it's great. It's working out well. We did do 2 weeks of remote learning at the very beginning, and I was overwhelmingly surprised with how great the kids did with making sure they were attending our Zoom sessions and doing all of our activities. But in person has just been fantastic too, because I've really been able to connect better with those kids.
Is everybody wearing a face mask in class?
Yes, yeah,
Hmm.
we're all wearing face masks. We disinfect between classes. We're social distancing as much as possible. And one wonderful thing is that this year, every kid has a Chromebook with them all day.
Wow. Okay, so that's definitely helping to kind of keep the social distance going on in the classroom. But a lot of classrooms are like group type activities. I always remember like pick a partner and we're going to do this. Is that still happening these days or not?
It is, it just looks a little bit different. So I've been trying to find a lot of different tech tools online that allow my students to work together without having any sort of issues with social distancing. So a lot of online collaborative tools are making it possible for my students to still work together even when they have to be distant. Luckily we have a very small student population. There's only about 400 students in our entire building. So we're able to manage it so that there's not a lot of kids in one particular area at a time.
That's awesome. This is kind of like one interesting part of the COVID era is that we've really had to sink into digital tools and like really get used to the idea that these things are moving forward with us and we're going to learn and use them to leverage. How are you using different digital tools? And this might lead into the question of how does Bubble Up fit into this world for you?
Oh, absolutely. So I'm kind of the unofficial techie teacher in my building. And so I'm fortunate that I already was familiar with a few of the online tools that are out there. So being able to use remote learning, I already had a lot of things that were available to me. But I definitely spent a lot of my summer and my spring going out there, searching, looking for new tools that I could use in my classroom. And then the way I found Bubble Up was it was an outstanding tool for me to save all of these great websites I was finding in one location and then to organize them and also share them with other people. Sure, yeah, I have a folder for each of the classes that I teach so that I can put different lesson plans, and then I have it divided further into different units of study. So you might see that I have a British literature folder, but if you go into that, you'll see one folder for King Arthur, a folder for Beowulf, a folder for Macbeth, and then I have those divided further and further and further. So I have all my resources in one spot. But then I also have separate PD folders where I keep my professional development resources. And
Hmm.
that's where you would find something like my ed tech tools or materials that I find from these online conferences that I've been attending, really great articles that I run across about remote teaching and that sort of thing. I did use a group folder for some professional development.
Hmm.
I'm a member of the National Writing Project local site to my area, and we were trying to get together some professional development for other teachers that were part of the National Writing Project. And so the leadership team was able to get together and collaborate in this shared space, uploading folders, sharing links to websites we were working on, promotional materials, files, videos, and all sorts of things. They're
Hmm.
in that one location. So it was great.
Hmm. That's the best part, especially because you end up with like a Google Doc, a list of websites, someone finds that video, and you can actually put it all in one spot and then even have a chat thread in there.
So far, I've mainly used it to share photos and videos of the activities that we've been doing in
Mhm.
class, but I'm looking at using it also to push out those materials and share them with my students. I
Yeah.
also definitely want to work on, now that the end of the first quarter is approaching, I want to share with the parents some of the different activities that we've been doing so they can see as well. And using that role feature is just great because it takes the hard work out of it for me. It just makes this really beautiful website out of the different files and photos and videos that I've put in
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So you might snap a photo or have that lesson plan or that thing, throw it into a folder, roll it into a web page, and then you can just share the link out with the parents. There's nothing to download at that point. They can just go and look and see what it is. That's awesome. That's a
Right.
smart way to go about it.
Yeah. And
Man.
I love that you can customize your URL too. That's a neat feature.
Oh, for your roles, yeah, you can customize your URL. That's awesome. If COVID numbers raise up, then you have to go remote. Kind of, they're just gonna send everyone remote. What is
Yes.
your strategy if this goes remote? Like, do you have like a game plan for that?
Well, the good thing is that even though we're in person, I've been introducing them to a lot of the ed tech tools that they should be familiar with, like the G Suite, Quizlet, and other different sources that we use, Khan Academy. So they're already comfortable with those resources. That way, if we do suddenly have to make a shift and go back to remote learning, they won't be learning content and how to navigate their way through these ed tech tools. They'll really be able to focus on the instruction and the content and the subject area rather than feeling overwhelmed by these new unfamiliar tools.
One good thing you said is that every student has Chromebooks. So if you go remote, at least like the computer, the tools they're using, that all kind of remains the same, right?
Yes, yes, I love that. And honestly, I've been wishing that our school would go one-to-one for quite some time. So despite the situation that we're forced into, I do love that now all of our students have the technology in their hands and the ability and exposure to all of these great tools, because I think that it's really going to help them be successful in the future.
Hmm. I mean, when it comes to research and such, I use it all. Like, I work for Bubble Up. I'm using it. I'm loving. I'm testing out our features, but I'm using it all the time. I just moved to New York City and like dropping in like links to apartments, my flight information, where I'm actually staying in my Airbnb, locations to run because that's one thing I love to do. All of these things. It's all in this folder now, and the idea that it's very visual is just it's an appealing thing to me to be able to scroll quickly, see the pictures, the thumbnails, and then be like, that's the resource. So that's
Oh,
I think from like
absolutely.
a research standpoint as a student, I would be like, oh yeah, and that's the thing that I need to pull the information from.
Absolutely. And I am such a visual learner, even going into my external hard drive to find something can be a challenge because it's not organized in other ways other than those folders. So
Mhm.
that's one thing that I really like about Bubble Up. And I know my students are so visual. Just look at the social media that they use. It's things like Snapchat and Instagram, very visual things. I think an app or a web Chrome extension like Bubble Up would just be right up their alley.
Awesome. Awesome. Jess, this is an awesome talk. Thank you so much for sticking around here and sharing your knowledge with us. If anybody has any questions on teaching in a COVID era or how you're leveraging these digital tools, how can someone reach out to you?
They can reach out to me through email. My email address is jess.pilgreen@gmail.com, or they can reach out to me on Instagram at me and my laptop with dots separating the words.
Me and my laptop. Cool. Awesome. Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much for taking a moment out of your day to talk to us. I really appreciate it. And I hope to get you on the show again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Cheers to you.